This is part 2 of the Akashic Records. Previously we talked about what the Akashic Records are. Today we're going to talk about how to access them. Like we said in the previous episode, Akashic Records are our way of understanding that every thought which has ever been thought exists. It can still be accessed, therefore, from any space that you are sitting in. It's not like the Akashic Records exists outside of yourself somewhere. It's not like there's this organization to the universe, some database of information, a place that you go to and then you sort through it for the information you're seeking. The information in the universe, and information is really just vibrations, exists in quantum mode, meaning there is no real organization to it. You are in fact interacting with the Akashic Records all the time. Anytime you have a flash of insight, anytime you're accessing intuition, it's because you have access at all moments of the day to the Akashic Record and interacting with it. Everyone, therefore, has access to the Akashic Record. Finding the information you seek from the universe itself is a matter of turning yourself to the frequency that that information is at. So, accessing the Akashic Records is really a matter of raising your vibrational frequency so as to be a match to a more objective perspective. A perspective which is unlimited by space, by separation, and by time. I like to think of it like tuning a radio dial to the information that you seek. In other words, the frequency of your very desire. The less resistance you hold, the higher your frequency will naturally become, because you're going to be allowing your higher perspective, the perspective of your higher self, to flow through your physical body. It's behoove us to understand resistance at this point. You can understand resistance by understanding a radio channel. Everything in this universe is being arranged, therefore put into your experience, because of vibration. Vibrations are always being matched. You can only experience that which is a vibrational match to you. And so, in order to receive what's being broadcast on a radio channel, say 98 AM, you have to turn your radio channel first, the dial which is existing within you in your own vibration, to that exact frequency. And so resistance looks like tuning it to anything less than that which you are desiring. So by tuning your frequency to 97 AM, if you want what's on 98 AM, you are in resistance to 98 AM. So what does resistance look like? Resistance looks like holding any thought which vibrates at a different frequency than your desire or source itself. So anytime you're thinking a negative thought, that's resistance. Anytime you are holding yourself vibrationally out of alignment with the very thing you seek, as if it isn't already, you are in resistance. You must be in the vibration of the answer to receive the answer. What this means is, if you ask a question and you're still vibrating with the question, which looks a lot like a vibration of confusion, you aren't a match to the answer. So in order to get an answer from the Akashic Records, you need to put yourself in the vibrational space of A, either having the answer already, that means think about what it would feel like if you had that answer, and put yourself in that vibration, or it means moving into a space of complete allowing or trusting of the universe, being that you give out a question and then you put yourself in the space of open receptivity, and in that space, trusting that you will receive the answer. Both of those are allowing states. Though you can make accessing the Akashic Record a goal? I think that setting a goal like that is a misunderstanding. That the majority of the time that we're talking about these abilities, spiritual abilities like accessing the Akashic Record, going out of body, it's all really a byproduct of spiritual development. Meaning that when you're finding harmony between the conscious reality that you're living in your individual physical perspective and the thoughtscapes which exist outside your physical perspective, that harmony is going to create this type of resonance which makes it very easy for you to access this more objective perspective where all of the information present within this universe exists. If you're focused on confusion, you are disallowing knowing. If you focus on knowing, you will allow knowing into yourself like a channel. Receiving any information from the Akashic Records is channeling, and all beings are channels. You are a channel to the degree that you allow information to flow through you. You want to think of it like water flowing through a channel. What you do to begin moving yourself into the space of being able to access the information you're seeking is in being open to allowing the very channel which you want to access. So that looks like, to begin with, you want to tell the universe through intention or through a question what channel you would like to open, what specific information, and then you allow it to flow through you by allowing it. What I mean by allowing is alignment. You can change out the word allowing for alignment in spirituality, because alignment is working yourself into the very frequency of the thing that you are searching for in order for it to then manifest or become an experience for you or a knowing for you. Being in a space of trust is allowing, and working your way into making every thought which goes through your head one which aligns with your desires looks like allowing. It's all about aligning with the very thing which you are seeking. I want to reiterate that when you are receiving information from the Akashic Records, you're not going anywhere. Even when you're using out-of-body work, it's not like you're going anywhere. That interpretation of travel is just something that your brain is doing upon re-entry to help you understand the experience, because we understand experience in a three-dimensional way. Otherwise, your third-dimensional brain has no way to understand what you have just experienced above the third dimension. The heart is arguably the most important interface between non-physical reality and physical reality. All information which is coming from the Akash into the human body is coming through the heart first. There have been numerous studies which have been done where a person is hooked up to devices which register activity in the brain and the body. And there are images that are selected at random on a computer and then flashed in front of people. And so there's no way to know what image is going to come up next. They have scary images interspersed with images which would inspire a feeling of safeness within human beings, enjoyable things. And there's no way for the subject to know what's going to come up next. What they found is, not only does the human body respond to the information which is about to come up on the screen before the image appears, what also is happening is that the heart is responding first. So the heart is what is receiving the information from the Akash, and it is then communicating it to the brain, which then communicates it to the entire body. So doing a lot of meditations or work on opening your heart space is a very good way to access the Akashic Record. Your questions when you approach the Akashic Record will immediately be answered and experienced when you align with the answer and trust the answer that you get. Doubt is a form of resistance. Just like a muscle, training takes repetition. So we're training the brain to line up with that which is beyond the brain. With meditation, we can set forth an intention and then settle into a very deep focus of intuitive, open receptivity, a kind of letting go to trust in the universe to immediately deliver. It's an ask and it is given philosophy. The best way to access the Akashic Records is to train yourself to enter a very deep, meditative visualization, trance, or out-of-body state. You want to disidentify with your smaller, singular identity and perspective. One of the best ways that I know how to do this is through a meditation where at first you begin like any other meditation, where you're seeking to find the space between thoughts. At first you'll experience this syndrome called monkey mind, where your thoughts are bouncing all over the place, kind of like a wild monkey on a leash. And if you don't judge that behavior, you just keep pulling your thoughts back to something that you're focused on, like the breath, and pulling it back, then you'll find that the space between thoughts becomes bigger. And pretty soon you can feel yourself settle into this objective perspective. It'll feel like going home. It'll feel like disidentifying with the drama of the third dimension. For some people, they get a sensation of sort of being submersed in this very free space of darkness, a lot like space. That is the open, receptive place where you can access Akashic information. You can access it either in having your questions answered or by direct experiences where you can ask the universe to show you or to experience your previous lives. I had somebody tell me once, because I was having a difficulty with breathing, because when you're talking about meditation, a lot of people talk about using your lower abdomen for breathing, and I was having a really hard time with that. It was borderline uncomfortable. And this person told me, well, the best singers breathe into their back. So if you're having difficulty following your breathing and it's an uncomfortable process for you, when you breathe in, visualize filling your lower back with the air, with a full breath, and then letting go of it that way. If you have trouble during these meditations where you set forth an intention once you reach that objective stillness of meditation, then you want to try to reaffirm, I am ready to know, and I am open to the information. When you feel that feeling of impatience, which happens a lot when people try to access the Akashic Records to begin with, you'll feel that sort of desperacy to get to it, and the feeling of, I'm not doing it, something's going wrong. That very impatience implies that you have distrust for the fact that when you ask, you will receive. So that is your indication, that sort of a sensation is your indication that you need to either reaffirm that you're open and ready to know, or else that you need to drop what you're doing and go at it another time. So here's an example. If you wanted to set forth an intention of saying, I want to experience the life that I was living right before this current life. First, you go into your meditative state where you feel yourself settling into that open receptivity, that very space of freedom which I was describing, the space between thoughts. Once you feel yourself settle into that, you set forth the intention which I just mentioned. I intend to experience the life that I was living right before this life. And then you let yourself settle into an allowing. It's a total vibrational letting go, where you trust that you're going to be taken there. And then, in that space of receptivity, you allow yourself to receive anything in any form that it comes. So it may be coming through the sensations in your body. So maybe if you were strangled in a past life or something, you might feel constriction start to happen around your throat. You may get just images that are out of context, like a cart on a cobblestone road. You want to take note, once you come back out of this experience, of every single thing that you experienced. And then, after you do this again and again, you can get a pretty good idea from something like I just described to you. Snippets out of the Akashic Record. But the better and better you get at this, soon it becomes a full-blown experience where when you ask a question like that, you have this feeling of being drawn inside yourself at a seriously rapid rate, and then maybe just like you would be living in a dreamscape when you're asleep, it's like you open your physical eyes and you're in this entirely other existence. And you can relive that experience either in a very, very long drawn-out way, meaning day-to-day life, or else you can visit the highlights of that specific life. Everything outside the third dimension is controlled with intention. So whatever you think becomes instantaneously. So if you think, show me what is the most important part of this life, you will be fast-forwarded through the high points. So that's an example of the way that you would go about accessing the Akashic Record through a deep meditative state, which, in my opinion, is the best way to get there. I would encourage any of you to go find the techniques that work the best for you. I am not kidding you when I tell you there are thousands of techniques in order to access the Akashic Record. There are thousands of meditation techniques. There are thousands of visualizations. There is no right or wrong way to do this. It's all a matter of what feels right to you. So go seek it out. Try everything. Don't limit yourself to one teacher. Limiting yourself to one teacher or looking for all of your information to come through one person is a lot like expecting the universe to operate through a space as small as a straw. The space which the universe has to answer you or to deliver you everything that you're asking for is absolutely unlimited until you define what embodiment that asking must come through. We make the same mistake in relationships. We say, my love must come through this one person. So you've now restricted the universe to operating through a very tiny point. We can do the same thing when it comes to accessing the Akashic Record or improving our spiritual practice. We can limit ourselves by expecting it to come through one venue or another venue. So go experiment. And if you have any other questions relative to how to access the Akashic Record, feel free to write me. I'll see you next week.